That's what I tell them.
Suits everybody, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
That's happening.
Sorry.
I've been working on that for 3 years, Susan. You can't blame them anymore.
I swear it's getting worse.
We could review the agenda. Has anybody got any changes, additions they would like to make? Here's none. You could review last meeting's minutes. Any changes to those?
We probably need to change unfinished business where it says proposed changes in regard to 159.56 and NCGS 4730, because we can't change
Say it again.
PS 4730. Need to reword that somewhere there in where it says in regard to changes in regard to 159.56 and NCGS 4730, because we can't change that.
We can change that, we'll probably make some other changes.
I like
Good.
changes.
Start. You got a few good recommendations.
I can get with them on that.
That has been removed. Any other changes? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
He's out of town.
Okay.
He didn't ask me to come in as liaison today, I just happened to pass by, so liaison report, if I don't see you next year, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Public comment? Then let's get into, is there any unfinished business that I'm not aware of? New business, minimum lot size for phase development. We'll talk about that just a little bit.
I went in and researched Jackson County and Hayward County. Hayward County does not mention anything about minimum number of lots. Jackson County did, each lot shall contain at least 6 lots. And then they've got a big description on a bunch of language that doesn't be in there. But basically, Jackson County 6 lots, at least 6 lots. The only thing I thought maybe we'd come with maybe reducing somewhere around 5 or 6. Somewhere around, I think that's more reasonable than that.
How does Hayward County delineate between the two?
It says, the only thing they define is in a minor subdivision and a major subdivision, sort of in their definition. Definition for minor subdivision is a proposed subdivision of land where 4 to 10 lots will result after the subdivision is complete. One phase of planned development cannot be considered a minor subdivision unless the entire development does not exceed 10 lots regardless of change in ownership. So they're basically saying 4 to 10 lots are minor. You phase that technically, I guess. The minimum is 4 of the minor subdivisions.
Is there be any disadvantage to you or us as a county to say 4 and 4 lots in a phase of that?
I don't know.
I've seen them where they do 2 or 3, but I think they probably live with 4.
I'll make my motion again. I'll make a motion to do it. Say that 4 lots consist of a phase development. If you do anything over 4 lots over, you can phase it in at 4 lots.
So you're saying 4 over?
Yes.
Minimum of 4.
Minimum of 4 per phase.
4 per phase.
Second to that?
Jimmy, the way I was, not to override you or anything, but what I was sort of thinking was a minimum of blank lots, so let's say 4 lots. being divided from the parent tract. That way it keeps the parent tract.
Yeah. We want to keep the parent tract, yes, I agree with that. I don't want
And-
nobody using the phase subdivision to go in and do a large subdivision, 4 lots at a time, no.
And we don't want to say that they have to be contiguous either. They can be,
Common area between.
That's it.
they can be wherever, that-
On that parent.
On the parent tract.
Or,
as long as they
so,
got a road and
is there gonna be any consideration given to, if you're gonna phase it, does the planning department need to see the intent of the entire subdivision at the time that phase is submitted? I know there's language in there right now with the phase development that says that the preliminary plat for the whole subdivision needs to be submitted with that first phase.
What's the master plan?
So the master plan is still gonna be tied to the phase development?
You got to have something, I think, showing the whole.
Yeah.
Intent.
But am I changing that by making a motion that we have?
but you're not gonna hold them to that.
No, that's
As
just
you
the plan.
build roads and as you go through it, there's probably a lot of
That's
things.
just the plan.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's what
asking
you
for-
hope.
I'm not asking for that dated at times.
Yeah, I can see that.
No, that wouldn't be.
But I've seen them change tremendously because you couldn't get a road when you thought you could.
Well, you don't know what you're into.
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion that 4 lots is considered a phase.
4 lots.
And
Minimum lot.
4 lots minimum is a phase. So you can do a 100-acre subdivision with 4 lot phases.
So what all,
Can somebody second that for me and then let's talk about it?
Yeah.
you do want to include the language about.
Yes.
and again, where does it, what effect does this change have? Does it have any effect on the definitions as they stand in the ordinance, or the minor subdivision, or?
Well, I think we're gonna have to go back and look.
That's what I was
at
wanting to do,
definitions,
yeah.
Since all these changes we've made.
And see what kind of effect that this will have on
Yeah.
what we have, because it could have an effect.
What definition do you have?
Well, what does this do?
You're going to have to define phase development a little better, but I don't think it's going to
Change the intent.
change.
So if I've got a minor subdivision, a hypothetical situation,
Now this, what I'm talking about now only applies to major subdivisions, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
not if it's 4 lots, because your major subdivisions, anything over 8 lots.
Oh, this by definition,
Any
a
definition,
phase subdivision is automatically a major subdivision.
subdivision, that's a
No,
minor
I'm not
subdivision.
changing that. All I'm asking is, if you have a major subdivision, that you can phase it in 4 lot increments. That's it. We're not talking about
And
minor
with the
subdivisions.
minor, there's a limitation, you can only subdivide one, you cannot subdivide for another year.
So
So
you're-
if it was a phase development, if you want to subdivide again, if you want to sell more lots before a year, you have to call it the major subdivision with phases rather than a minor.
So if I had that 6 lot subdivision, then the phase option wouldn't be available to me if I wanted to sell, if I wanted to say I've got 6 lots, but I'm just gonna cut out 2 right now, then I'd be prohibited from selling another one for a year because I'd be classified as a minor.
Unless you want to put all your roads in. If you go ahead and get all your roads into every lot, then you can sell. Am I right, Matt?
Yes.
But now we're still gonna be faced with the situation where if I wanna create a minor subdivision of 7 lots, then I don't have the option to phase. If I've got a 7 lot subdivision
You're either major.
and I just wanna cut out 2, then I don't have a phase option.
Well, yeah, you become a
Unless you
major.
want to be a major.
Yeah, you could go under the stipulations of a major and then phase it at 4 lots at a time.
If I don't have, I guess if I don't have over 8 lots in a road that exceeds 1,320 linear feet, then how could I be classified as a major subdivision?
Because you want to phase it.
Because you
Well,
want.
that's not, then that's not contained in the ordinance, so we're going,
Well, it
Okay.
says which has not been subdivided within the previous year,
right.
and the definition in mind.
Well, what if it hasn't? What if I hadn't? But I want to do 7 lots right now, that it hadn't been subdivided in the previous year. So I've got less than 8 lots, and my road's does not exceed 1,320 linear feet. So
you're a minor
So I can't say I want to phase this because I only want to do 2 lots. I can't say that.
As a minor subdivision, is it a requirement in a minor subdivision that you have all your roads in before you sell?
Yeah.
Personally, I want to see this change because I want major developers to be able to go in and do 4 lots and sell land to recoup some of their money and then be able to go and do 4 lots. If you're a minor subdivision, I don't see the problems that you have in the major subdivisions with that.
because 1,000-foot of road or 1,300-foot of road is
Pretty long.
It'll be that long.
Yeah, but in 8 lots, are you gonna get 1,300 feet of road with long?
Well, you could, it all depends on, if it's mountain land, and there's a lot of things go into it. I was just trying to think about it. Probably gonna need to change the definition.
Would it work to add on a phrase, which have not, and cannot be subdivided, has not been and cannot be subdivided within a 1-year period? Something like that?
Would there be anything wrong with a minor subdivision doing 2 phases, and they got 8 lots and they're doing 2 phases, and let them apply the same?
We could add language to where they can do 4 lots, just like the mine.
I mean, I think, but
Why don't we do that?
Because again, I think that in the intent of the phase development is to allow a developer, whether in a major subdivision or a minor subdivision. I mean, if I've got a 7-lot subdivision, but like you guys were talking about last time, the estate lots that are a little bit bigger, and I don't want to bite off the whole chunk right now. I want to build me a spec home with a road to it, and kind of take the temperature of the market and see if I can sell this home. Then I should be able to do that in a minor subdivision or a major subdivision, as long as at the end of the day, in each of them, I have a road that meets the standards of the subdivision ordinance and all the other provisions of the subdivision ordinance, regardless of how many lots that I want to put in it. As long as what my product, at the end of the day, meets the subdivision ordinance, whether it be 2 lots or 150 lots, as long as we get across what we're trying to get across. And that's put these standards in.
I agree with Derek, and I'd like to amend my motion to include this minor subdivision.
So phase developments, just that would all apply, everything in phase developments would apply to major and minor?
Yes,
If you're gonna do that, why do you need a minor? So you just let them do it in phases and go away from that.
Well, I've never worked for a professional developer who only do 4 lots. That could be just about.
No, but that'd keep you from having to keep the 2 mixed up. Man,
but would it be easier?
I think the benefit of that, Lamar, is probably some of the bonding.
well, that might.
And the only and also the minor.
We're wanting to cut out everybody, but we don't want just professional developers in here. I mean, someone wants to develop their property and they had never done it, they don't have to be a professional.
I know, but they'll usually be a small scale.
That's what I'm saying, so
Yeah.
we don't
That's the
need-
reason we need to.
There's a lot of less
I agree.
Right,
With
with the minor.
Well, the minor, you're not, the major differences, I think, in the minor and the major, the minor, you're not bringing in the technical review committee. You're not requiring the sketch plan.
It's amateur hours what it is.
Yeah, which.
A lot of times, your minor, preliminary, and final is the same.
Yeah, we don't require, you don't usually you're usually, when you look at a plat for a major, you're looking at the final. You know, you're not looking at it, so it's.
So you're thinking applying that to a major and a minor will satisfy that need?
I think it'll apply it to a major and a minor, but I think we need to leave the definitions for each in place because, like Matt said, the minor is a little bit less of a strenuous process for the person that's not the professional developer.
Is that technical review committee really the only difference?
Pretty much. That and the sketch plan.
That, the preliminary and sketch plan, but the technical review committee, it's usually a time issue.
Yeah.
Survey would bring in technical review. Pretty quick, easy, in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So can I amend my motion to include the minor subdivisions in the 4 lot minimum phase developments?
Say it again.
I'm gonna amend my motion to include the minor subdivisions in the 4-lot minimum for phase developments.
But
In doing that though, if you're doing a minor subdivision, my subdivision's gonna have 7 lots. So I've got, in the first phase, I'm gonna have to do at least 4.
that's correct.
Because, I mean, when you start talking that, I mean, like, on a minor subdivision, that may only be 400 feet of road if you had, 200 lots, 200 feet wide, and you had them on
But
both
if he
sides.
wanted to do it on phase, he
Yeah.
could do 4 lots and sell them.
Right.
Whereas right now, he couldn't, he'd have to do all 7.
Right, no, I'm good. I just want to make sure I'm told.
For continuity.
Well, he just made a good point. What if all of a sudden, I got a 7-lot subdivision I'm doing? I'm gonna do 4 in my first phase.
Can't do 4 in second phase.
There's only 3 lots left.
We'll give you lots.
I know, but you might need to put the language in there, minimum of 4 lots or remainder of lots left or something. Because it
Right.
could get very technical later on if somebody wanted to make a to-do out of it. There's some people out there that might try that.
Yeah, splitting hairs. You mean you, John?
No, I'm definitely not the one.
Or Bill?
Yeah.
Need someone lean back off the wire.
Do you want to say 4 or 3 lots or more, since the minor subdivision is the 3 to 8 lot?
Well, I say a 4 because that's split the minor subdivision in 8 lots. Right in the middle, that's the reason I want to do it. And if
You
it's
just
7,
add some language that would say that it could be less than 4 if it was the remainder of lots.
Right.
Which is 2 left or something.
Yeah.
Or the remainder.
The remainder.
The last phase.
yeah.
That is less than,
The-
or not.
Yeah.
I'm not requiring that you have, I'm not asking to require that you have 4 lots to do a phase subdivision. I'm requiring that it's a minimum of 4 lots to do a phase subdivision. You can do 1 lot after that if you want, but you still gotta have 4.
Right, but you gotta have that language in here to reflect that. I think Bill's.
And that will bring in a new requirement to the minor subdivision, or potentially, right now, we don't require a preliminary or a master plan for a minor subdivision. Are you going to look at, if you're going to allow a minor subdivision to do a phase development, are you going to also allow them, make them have to bring in a master plan as well?
Well, since phase development requires a master plan, I mean, that's under phase development.
I think if you choose a phase development and tweak the language. Want to amend your amendment,
That's all I can amend my second. Why don't you just withdraw it and start all over?
So, well, I mean, I still stand on my motion to amend it to do 4, you can do a phase subdivision with 4 lots and apply that to the subdivision. Now, if y'all want to talk about adding language, in case somebody's got 3 lots, to me, that's a different subject.
I'd just like to see how it comes out of the hopper when everything's put where we're going to put it.
You're gonna have, excuse me, you're gonna have to move it out of the procedures for review for major subdivision. Phase development.
Yeah.
do I have to have its own?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, if they want to do a small subdivision in phases, I'm about ready to say that they ought to have to do the same thing as you do in a major subdivision. As far as having the paperwork, the master plan, the whole 9 yards, because we're giving you an avenue to do something.
Firstly, you're going to do that once you go to the phase.
Right. That's the way I see it. I mean, if you come in and you got a small subdivision that's 8 lots, and you say, I want to do this in phases, well, we got to have something on paper to show what this phase is going to be.
So can we just make A, B, C, and D if phase developments apply to any phase development, both major and minor? 159.5.
I think you just move it under the general
Just
provisions.
put it under general, you have phase apply.
159.45.
55.
I think that ought, if you want to do a phased development, that ought to apply to a minor subdivision as well.
Under general provisions of vegetable
I mean, by making them required to follow the same rules as a major subdivision, we're not gonna encourage, phased development in a minor subdivision. So, I think they ought to have to follow the same thing we do in a major subdivision, if you're gonna do phased. Which is 159, 50.
Well, then you ought to just leave it alone, and then if they want to do 4 lots, just let them do it under the major, and then the minor, and then just leave it alone, won't be no problem.
Not really helping anything.
Making it harder on the man that wants to do
Just
it
change the
separate.
definition of minor.
Said that was one of my points, is I don't want to encourage a minor subdivision to do phased development. I just want to offer them the option.
But a minor subdivision, you could do a minor subdivision and do phased development under minor, but you just gotta do them a year in between, right?
Right.
Or do multiple minors. Stack them up.
That's what they do.
But then there's subdivisions within
You
subdivision.
don't want that.
Right. If you do a phase development in a minor, right now, you're doing, different minors. You're doing separate
Like
minors.
a fall.
So, under the definition of minor subdivision, do we just need to add something about one's not phased? And that way that kicks you into major?
Let's see.
I think that'd be the simplest.
Well, I think we need to, we're gonna need to make it more complicated for the simple. Yeah.
If the only difference is the technical review, if they want to do a minor, if they want to do a subdivision that would fall under minor, but they want to do it in the phases, they're just going to have to step up to the major. The only difference is the technical review, so it's just a time thing. And let's leave it at that. Let's not try and recreate both.
That's a good point.
But if a man wants to do a minor, instead of doing it under the rules you got, and if he wants to do 2 sets of 4, let it be a phase.
Yeah.
Do we need to say it is not phased in the minor subdivision, or is that not necessary?
I think that's good. I think that's what you need to, that's where you need to change it,
Just add
in the definition.
minor subdivision's not phased.
Susan, say that minor subdivision,
Well, that can't be phased under the rules now.
So we don't have to do
So you don't
that.
really need to do anything.
But now, that, by saying they're not phased, that's gonna give people in the minor subdivision the option to still have less than 8 lots, but phase it. But that wording is what will kick them in and allow them to do the phase process under the major subdivision rules by putting not in there.
The definition I came up with for phase development, phase development is defined as a major subdivision will be constructed in phase of a minimum of 4 lots being subdivided from the parent community.
No, I would leave that because that tells you it's a major, and then if they want, on minor, you can just say a minor subdivision is defined as a subdivision containing no more than 8 lots and is not, and does not contain phases. Isn't that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Just adding on that phrase.
And then if they do the phase, it kicks them into the same thing as the major, except for the review committee.
I mean, it's literally not.
Still the review, you still have it, but it's,
Well, if they want to go that far, they ought to.
let them go.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jimmy, your motion on the table is that that's highlighted.
Yes.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. With that being said, we need to now look
Make a motion to change the definition.
change the verbiage under minor.
And at the end, just put, which is not done in phases, which is not a phase development.
Yeah, and does not include phase development.
Yeah.
We just need to add that.
Yeah. And I'll make that motion, does not include phase development.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor? Opposed?
Get excited, Cole.
All right, motion to adjourn.
That's it for that purpose.
159.02.
What you tell me, Matt, about that, general statutes?
About 159.02?
Yes, sir.
The first two sentences come straight out of the general statutes. Where it starts off, it is also designed to provide the county commission, planning board, planning department. From there on is all stuff that's been added by previous authors.
I don't know that I had a deep with it, I just don't.
You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th
What was your
line.
vote on that,
It
Chris?
is also designed to provide county commission. That's the additional.
So
I don't know that I had one. It's just like,
everything was, okay, so I think what's up for discussion is it is also from that point forward.
Well, that last sentence, I just let me get that.
I don't even see why we need anything after it also. I mean, it's doing it anyway. Why does it have to be said?
How is any of this helping to project the need of the various public programs? Because if they're projecting, they're behind if they haven't, because now we're building it. Once they're here doing it, I mean, they're not projecting anymore, it's real.
They're probably looking for patterns of growth.
Well, you got we spent a year working
Don't
on,
look at 2008
what we
before.
call it,
Oh, I
Compared to
know.
now.
Land use plan,
yeah, comprehensive plan.
land use plan.
Be easy.
So we can do it out there.
I think that this, you still keep the Excel spreadsheet that tells the type of subdivision, number of lots created, and the community that it's in. I think that if there's ever a way that we could tie, I think this would be effective if we could tie the spreadsheet that is now being done internally by the planning department that tells every subdivision that comes through that department. It tells the type of subdivision, the number of lots that are created, and the location, the community. I think if there's any way that we could ever tie that spreadsheet to the GIS system, then that would certainly, and then say for 2011, all the 2011 subdivisions are blue, the lots that are created are blue, and you do an overlay. And you can see by those blue lots overlaid throughout the county where your development was occurring in. But, I think that's why they say that it's projected growth.
Well, if you wrote this paper, why didn't you implement it?
Estimated for growth.
And that would be a very valuable tool
I got a
for
D on it.
developers from the outside looking where they want to possibly develop, where they'll grow. That's how they think. I mean, they don't just throw a dart at a map and say, well, let's put it here. Believe me, there's a tremendous amount of thought for these professional developers.
Another thing of that is when, like, I hate to say it, John, but it's wildflower. When it was developed, there was a fire. You remember when Mountain Valley and Cali fought over who was going to get what, and they built the substation. And that's public facility. People could see it coming a couple of years down the road.
I think it's nice to have that in there simply because it widens the scope of what the mission of having this information is. It's not just to get the developments through, get them permitted, but it is also to provide information to the county. And
Okay,
to-
so give me an example of how you're doing this now.
Derek, this paper, and then we're gonna implement.
I got a C on that, but.
You said
D a second ago.
Because you didn't have an implementation
No,
plan.
but if it could-
Glad you're not a county employee
As
anymore.
far as projecting growth, revenue and expenditures, I mean, certainly with property tax being the primary source of revenue, that is directly hinges on the number of lots created. I think if you could ever find a way to tie this to the GIS system, as far as projecting growth, revenue and expenditures through the services that you're gonna have to provide to those lots as well as the revenue they create. I think you can do that with this, but you just want to find a way to do it.
This is just a piece of the pie.
Right, but this at least sets a goal to work toward.
What do you think of that?
Well, we're called quite frequently by different agencies or organizations or individual investors to see whether growth is making. For instance, when they were discussing what to do with regional tractors, consultants were calls, how would this affect that area down there? Would it open up for development, would it close for development, this, that, and other. So to know that there was no development going on down there anyway, to answer one of their questions was there a need to provide a wider road, more development. They say that, not that. So we track that. Anyway, if it's the purpose of this ordinance, so be it. But we want to do it anyway.
Well, if it's the purpose of this ordinance, so we need to put some language in the ordinance saying that you have to track the growth and map where it's at. I mean, that's not in here.
Well, you go to the bank.
You gotta do
Yeah, but he
it.
obviously didn't do good.
Because we're talking about how you use the information, none of that's in
They're
there.
only going to where land is severed, I think we're looking, there's not going to be much done.
There used to be just
Seven.
wild, whatever, but your developers are still alive, got a hell of a lot smarter.
Yeah, they're not going to do much development where land ain't severed.
But, you know, I want to make sure that the decision makers, the policy makers understand. I mean, you know, why run the sewer line out, say, south or something, and your growth is headed north?
No, it's gonna fall into
See, this says that it's designed to provide information, and it is providing information. I mean, the information is there for those who.
Well, what's it got to do with subdivision? My question.
It shows you where the growth, that's the only way you can,
The growth's going to be where the subdivisions are.
I know, that's why
Yeah,
you
but
need
if
to chart.
somebody
That's
is
why you
going
need
to
to
know
chart.
about
There's
it.
no charting in this thing, though.
But I think that this, with this, the way this is worded, it gives administration the flexibility to be able to do these things and explore these different programs. If you start going in here and, or not different programs, but different ways to track this growth, it gives flexibility by not going through and stating every little thing that we want to do it by. By leaving it open, it gives Matt the ability to work with Justin and say, well, I think we could do this and maybe take this from the spreadsheet and overlay it here. I mean, if you put a procedure you have to follow in here, it's gonna add another layer of bureaucracy into it. Rather than
Well, you're
Rather than
going to, when a
giving
factory
flexibility.
board, you're going to have that information automatically. It's going to be in the county records, I mean.
Well, what does it hurt to say that it's this, by complying with this ordinance, you're helping to provide that information?
Well, I don't know if it hurts anything, but I just don't say that it needs to be there. And so, I don't know, I mean, you know, I'm just no country boy, don't know much of that.
Yeah, so it's in the subdivision ordinance, so is that the only place we're concerned about growth, is where subdivisions are, not where commercial property?
We don't have an ordinance on commercial.
That's what I'm saying, so are we only, are we as a county only gonna track subdivisions?
Technically, this does affect commercial property, except
But it says it's also designed to provide the county commissioners and the planning department, tax record, land record, and code. Whether that's in here or not, when the subdivision's done, you're gonna have that information.
Yeah, you are.
And you guys, if y'all wanted to implement something like Derek's talking about,
Then you'd be doing zoning.
and like Jack's talking about, no,
That is
no,
zoning.
that's not, that's,
Zoning.
I mean, to gather, y'all have the data, okay? To put the data in a readable format so the county commissioners can understand what they need to do as far as future fire departments and future water, schools, all that good stuff, it's available, all y'all have to do is just do it. So it doesn't need to be in there? I don't think so.
That all comes after the road anyway. I don't know that it hurts anything.
I don't either,
But it
but
just
I-
don't seem like it's part of subdivision.
I mean, y'all can do everything that thing says anyway without this, right? And you should.
Make a motion, Derek. Since you guys see on it, here's your
I want to hear
chance to-
sometime like this.
I think there, I already got a C on it, he's got a valid point. If it's, unless it's hurting something, to leave it in there. If it's perceived that it gives those, the department some leeway to provide information, as long as it's not hurting something along the way, I don't know why it would be in the world to leave it in there. But if somebody feels strongly that it don't need to be in there because it's hurting something, or putting another roadblock up and preventing something from happening, but it seems like, from what C-Man's telling us, that it's put there in order to give them a little bit more latitude in providing information, not the implementation of anything, but just to providing them information.
Well, I don't see how taking it out would really push that.
But I think that keeping it in reinforces that you have that latitude.
It also sort of tells the person complying with all this that, you know, this information is useful or valuable. It's not just to make things difficult for you.
You gotta make a motion.
You
Just
whine
asked a
about
question. I just asked a question, I didn't complain
You're
about
the
it.
one with your foot stuck in the trap.
He's tugging hard though, trying to get out.
What's
We chew it off eventually.
So,
In my opinion, the purpose, our definition, is the reason for this ordinance. It's a secondary definition, it's the reason. Why did we create a subdivision ordinance? And this is about, we can track it now, we can use this information now. Before we had a subdivision ordinance, we didn't know what subdivisions were until somebody came in with an application. Say, I want to offer a house on Butterfly Hall subdivision. Well, I don't have a clue where that is. Where is it? Well, it's about a 200 lot subdivision up here on Boat Holler. Well, I can't tell me, so. But the reason for this is, why did we create this ordinance? This is why we created an ordinance. This is why we have it. And that's just my 2 cents worth. With or without an ordinance, it's going to do the same thing. Derek seems to think that with this in here, it might give the county some latitude to use that information without asking permission through the GIS program or something like that. Whereas if we don't have this here, and we ever want to use that overlay on the GIS so we can see where the growth is, and the GIS department said, well, we don't have to do that. Give me some, get the commissioners to tell me to do that, when people have to do it.
I need to fire that guy, Jack.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you.
Go where the water and sewer is, and one day, just in the spirit of cooperation, working with the county and the town that is over the water and sewer. I mean, if the county is able to bring and produce a map to the town that says, look at the growth that's occurred in this section of the county. This is why we might need to look in and discuss bringing water and sewer here. We're provided with that, you know.
Does that wording leave too much latitude? I mean, it doesn't spell out anything necessarily, which you say is a good thing, and I can see where that might be the case. But does it provide too much latitude for people to come in and do, I don't know what, but you never can tell.
I don't see the thread there.
Okay.
That's fine.
so what's the pleasure?
I'm ready to adjourn, so I'll make a motion to leave it like this.
I second that.
We don't have to vote on anything we're not changing, so unless somebody got some more.
Sorry, Chris.
No, I'm fine, I just need to have a conversation, that's all.
Couple
It's good to
other,
have time.
We've done homework.
couple other quick things. This concludes the review of the subdivision ordinance. It will now go to the county attorney for review. Could we just say that you would keep up the primes with any changes that the county attorney?
Absolutely. It'll go to the attorney, he'll review it, and then come back to the
It'll come back to us
Come back
before
to us.
it goes to the commission.
It's a courtesy.
and then he's gonna add whatever
And there
necessary
will
definitions
be
there are.
there will be a copy kept of what we sent up, so that we won't lose that copy. I know you want.
We're gonna let you take it up there tomorrow.
What I will do is change everything we talked about tonight. Everything that's been deleted, highlighted, all that, I'm gonna send that to Chester. And we have a copy that we will,
You'll keep that.
absolutely.
Well, that's a good idea for all of us.
Can you tell us all that?
But we got,
We're all concerned about that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
we
What
get,
you gonna say?
There's some wording that we added, definition wise, is he gonna take care of that? Design professional, for example?
Hear it from front, right?
but we get a review of it before it goes to the
I
county.
think it's more of a courtesy thing to say, this is what you said, that you want. I think that's more what it is, it's not something open back up and.
Discuss, yeah, I understand that, but we get to see it before, the last time there was some things went to the county commissioners that didn't happen here.
I think the issue that Jimmy's talking about, for those that weren't here, is there's always some words that end up being changed by the attorney. But there was some concern on a lot of people's part that the intent was changed. And I think that's why we want to look at it and make sure that that intent didn't change.
And if it does change, can we stop it from going to the county commission?
It's theirs to change. They're just basically giving you a courtesy.
All right. So we're at the mercy of a lawyer again.
No, you're at the
Well-
mercy of your county commissioner.
Yeah,
Like you always are.
you could, if he changes something you don't like, you could go to the meeting and bring it up to the commissioners. That's not how I, as a planning board member, meant when we voted, and now it's written down.
I think that we're operating under a different set of rules at this point, both from the standpoint of the county commissioners and from the county attorney. And at this point, the county attorney, A, has been at our meetings, B, has been ready and available for any questions that we might have. So I think that the difference being, last time perhaps that was reviewed and wasn't necessarily asked for any input. I think that's right. What will happen now is the county attorney pick up the phone and say, what's it?
But I don't really like the idea of it. When you put on a planning board member hat, it's hard to go in front of the county commissioners and take that hat off and they decide. So when you go in there and talk to them and you disagree with something that we've all agreed on, then you're actually speaking for the planning board. And I don't agree with, and I would never do it. I'm not gonna take an ordinance that we all agreed on, go to the county commissioners and complain about it.
No, I'm saying if the wording changed. If the wording and the intent significantly changes from the draft he's gonna send to the attorney, he sends something and he says he's now gonna copy us on that. If the attorney changes that language and now we don't like it.
We all go as a planning board.
Well, that's what I was fixing to say.
Yeah.
At that point, I think that there would be a lot of communication, and if that happens while I'm the chair of this board, I think that it would be proper procedure for me to go before the Board of County Commissioners and say, this is our working copy, this is the last copy, and he changed it. And we're not in agreement with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for you to go say disagree.
That process would happen.
I don't think we'll have a big problem than we did last time.
I don't think we'll
I'm
either.
not thinking that at all.
It's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
But you are a little bit challenged.
Well, I think for all our
Blind faith
benefit,
will
that
get you
we
killed.
need to be sure that we keep the draft.
I'm sorry, Lou.
Blind faith will get you killed.
The next thing that the county, Board of County Commissioners has tasked us with is review the sign ordinance. Matt has been kind enough to put everybody looking together. With the beginning of it is our current sign ordinance. After that, we have Silver Franklin, Town Island, Jackson. We will also be providing you with Haywood County. Just not because there's necessarily anything in those other ordinances that we're aware of that we need to include in ours, but just as a reference point to try to get this information put together where it would be at everyone's fingertips.
Can we get the DOT's?
Outdoor advertising. I'm gonna bring, what we're gonna do is, December, we're having our Christmas dinner. January, we're having elections and a training session in January. February, we have our joint meeting, so we won't come back to this till probably March. So you'll be getting, you'll be reading this, and I'll also send it out, link to the outdoor advertising. And then I'm gonna do a presentation on it in March too, so that everybody's on time.
So you're gonna tell us what problems that you think we're having?
Yeah.
And who's the sign enforcement officer now?
You're looking at it. Yeah.
Okay.
On certain roads. That's the problem.
That's what happened.
How come there are no signs in this one?
Because Lamar would've got mad.
In January the 17th is our next scheduled meeting.
Yes.
At that meeting, the first item of the agenda will be to elect a new chair and vice chair. Then that meeting will last after that. How long that takes, about 2.5 hours. So kind of be prepared for a little bit of a lengthy meeting.
January 17th?
Yeah. And
Is it gonna be at 4?
Yes, well, that's where I'm getting at, is given the fact that we're gonna, what we've got to conduct within 2.5 hours, is 4 o'clock, everybody wants to be here, does anybody want to come earlier or later? What, 4 o'clock, perfect.
It works.
Anybody not okay with 4 o'clock?
I'm fine.
And that meeting, that 2.5 hours will consist of just general responsibilities of what the planning is supposed to do and what their task, what they can do legally and what they should be doing. So,
Here.
yes, sir.
You'll have to sign that.
Yeah.
It's been up for about a year and a half now, ain't it?
You left it up.
Been up since Derek retired.
What's the February date?
January, was it?
I got the January. It looks just
Our
like that.
February meeting is the third Thursday in February.
Third.
Right now, tentatively marked the 21st. That's our joint meeting with the commissioners, and we're sort of leaving it up to them to finalize that.
To what?
Yes.
And what's the dinner?
December 5th. I need to talk about
One other quick thing.
At the next March 21st.
Talked to several of the county commissioners, including Mr. Havens, and heard nothing but good stuff. They're very happy with the planning board and people that will be able to get the subdivision review done, and they're confident that we'll come up with some good recommendations for the sign order. And I just want to say thank you to everyone and for everyone's input, time, and again, welcome, Mark. I guess with that, correct. He's I'm Mark. Anybody got anything else?
I got one question I want to just clarify to my understanding what I hear here is the next meeting that you will be having at 4 o'clock, and after that you're going to resume back to 5 o'clock.
I think that's, we have to decide that.
I mean, we moved these up to 4 o'clock because of the length of them, but the original, I think the original intent was putting at 5 o'clock was to hopefully get public here, and we haven't been very successful.
I understood. I was just gonna, as I said, I would come as a liaison today. I just happened to be not doing nothing to stop in, but if it would be something they changed, I was going to send out a letter to all the commissioners, but I think it's probably send it out anyway if it was changed. we'll let them know. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you for coming, Ron.
Hey, I enjoy.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
How's it?